Good morning, everybody. This is the weekly review for the Stoxx 600 market across Europe and from a Ichimoku cloud chart perspective. So if we kick off with the Stoxx 600 index itself, we can see it sliced through the cloud of the last 2 weeks, lost support at the cloud, and now last week we had another close below the cloud. So it's not in a good position at the moment. So the cloud is the key resistance area. Downside risk is back down towards the bottom end of the cloud here at 334, with the 342 area as a key resistance zone. Okay, so the likelihood we could retest this area for support and then rebound from there for the year-end rally. But overall, the front end of the cloud now indicates that we could see more downside in this index. Price action here last week was encouraging as it's racing from the bottom end if you look at the candlestick there. But certainly this bottom end of the cloud here, that's an extreme support zone. So we could probably sell off and get back down to that area and then rebound for the year-end rally. Okay, MACD is not looking good. So overall, on a weekly basis, yeah, we can see we're struggling with resistance within the cloud. So this is not a very good chart. Shows that the cloud, the front, the top end of the cloud, the bottom end of the cloud, here, significant resistance area. So yeah, it's looking for support at the bottom end of the cloud with the top resistance zone. Okay. So yeah, if we see a rebound from the cloud support here on the weekly cloud, we could see a rally back up to 356. But so far, watch very closely this coming week to see what's happening in the Stoxx 600 index to see if it's going to rebound from this support area. But you can see a massive support zone here, significant support at the bottom end of the cloud. So 335 here, significant support zone. And that corresponds well with the daily chart at 335 area, yeah. So I'm looking to go long at that zone if it gets to that cloud chart level. Okay, let's look at the individual sectors. If I make this a little bit bigger. Auto parts, that is rebounding from the top end of the cloud. So far, it rebounded a couple of weeks ago from the top end of the cloud. And if we look at the weekly chart, we can see struggling with the resistance at the top end of the cloud. So it's now stuck between the resistance on a weekly cloud chart basis and the support on a daily cloud chart basis. So if it keeps grinding into the cloud here, we could see it find another resistance zone to test here at 528, 535, 528 zone. Okay, so watch out for that one on a cloud chart basis. But so far we're above the cloud. Cloud here supports any kind of retracement back to the top end of the cloud can be viewed as an entry point. Okay. Yeah, the banks, that's had a nice rally after rebounding from the top end of the cloud. If we look at the weekly cloud chart here, we're approaching a key resistance zone. We can see the front shadow of the cloud here is a significant resistance zone. So this 157 area is a key area to watch. So look how the banks are going to respond, the Stoxx 600 bank sector, when it gets to this key resistance level at the bottom end of the cloud. If it's then going to pull back and come back down to test the support at the bottom end of the cloud here. But if it manages to grind through the top end of the cloud here, the next target would be the 160, 157, 160 zone, and then the next target after that would be this massive support area at 180, 179, 80. So it's going to grind into the cloud like that. All right, so you can see on the daily, we've now highlighted those weekly resistance levels here on the daily at 157. So it would be looking at taking profit around that level. Basic resources, very similar situation. Nice little rebound off the cloud every now and again. Cloud is a key support zone. Yeah, we're looking at this area as a key support zone, 319. So you can nibble at this at any kind of a pullback. Positive here, we're above the cloud on a weekly basis, so that's very encouraging to see. We're currently testing this resistance zone here And the next key resistance zone will be that one to test there. So we steady as it's going, just need to buy those pullbacks to the moving averages as entry points in the basic resources. But that's still now a steady uptrend on a daily cloud and a weekly cloud chart basis. Chemicals, looking for support here at the top end of the cloud. This is a significant support zone here at 794, 800. If we look at the weekly one, you can see a watch out. It's getting close to key resistance zone. So 830, 829, 830 is the next area to watch for to see where it's going to find key resistance. Okay. So we could see a pullback at this level here as resistance hold and come into play at that key area. But so far so good. Rebounding from the top end of the cloud. So buying the rebound, traded back up to the top end of the weekly cloud in that trading range. So far up it goes. Consumer materials. Similar situation, looking for support within the cloud. The bottom end of the cloud, cloud span B, is a key support zone. It's managed to bounce off that cloud support there. Noted how close these support levels are to the previous high. So we've broken out of that trading range, now forming another trading range of base on a base pattern. And so far, we've not yet seen the twist in the front end of the cloud. If that turns to the downside and we lose support through the bottom end of the cloud, then we're going down. But it's looking for a rebound. So I'm looking for a rebound at the bottom end of the cloud over here. Okay. But right for a bit of a consolidation back to the top end of the cloud, Food and beverages, weekly one, rebounding potential from the bottom end of the cloud that significant support area at 605. If it rebounds from there, we could see a comfortable rally back up to the top end of the cloud. So looking for support there, look out for any type of rebound indication in terms of the candlesticks if support's coming in strongly at that area. So we note that this zone here is now the weekly cloud support. So we once again pinched between the weekly cloud and the daily cloud. So we could see a rebound from the weekly cloud back up to the bottom end of the daily cloud. Financial services, also looking for support on the top end of the bottom end of the cloud span B here. The front end of the cloud is rolled over, so it tells us there might be some downside coming. If support fails here, if it closes below the bottom end of the cloud, then this index can roll over completely. But it's at a critical area looking for support there, and we can see that is that the weekly cloud levels are significant resistance levels at the bottom end of the cloud as well as the front end of the cloud So we in a downtrend on a weekly basis because the price action is below the cloud, and the fact that we've now been there below the cloud for 3 weeks is not a good sign. So the potential for it to sell off back down and lose support through this bottom end of the cloud is quite high. So there's significant downside risk in the financial services Stoxx 600. Healthcare in trouble, still maintain downwards momentum. Prices below the cloud. Cloud in front end of the cloud still indicates more downside to come. Where is the next level of support? These old lows can be retested for support. And then if we go back further, we can see some of these old steps, cloud steps here. There's also key support areas where this rally can come to a halt. But I'll be looking closely at the 660, 656 zone for a possible relief rally or retracement rally back down to the bottom end of the cloud. But this is significant downside, negative price action, very wide price range, no significant support here. Front end of the cloud indicates that this market's rolling over. We're below the daily, below the weekly, so it's overall a very negative picture. And we will revisit this at 654 and 660 area. Okay. Industrials, also similar situation. We're below the cloud now. We've closed down below the cloud. That's not a good thing. Front end of the cloud indicates more downside. Yeah, we've actually had a sell signal up here. So it's been, we've had a sell signal at the top of the cloud. And there we go. Weekly buy signal within the cloud, not particularly strong, but would be more interested in going long when it rebounds from these weekly cloud chart support zones. So we can look at that area there, and we can look at 418 there. So there are a couple of steps in terms of cloud chart resistance that this index needs to get to. But overall, the daily picture not looking good, so there is more downside to come towards the top end of the cloud because the price action is now below the cloud. And note that these levels we've now pulled through from the weekly cloud as support. These are possible support areas for this weakness to look to test for support. Insurance sector, steady as she goes, up, a nice uptrend in place. Cloud as support as usual. This uptrend can now last up to the front end of the cloud resistance zone. So watch out for profit taking around these cloud chart resistance levels. But so far, grinding higher on a weekly basis. Positive price action here because we are above the cloud. Cloud is a key support area, and the front end of the cloud still indicates some upside. Media in trouble here. Price actions below the cloud. That's quite negative. And if we look at the weekly one, also below the cloud, we can now look back at the old cloud chart support zones here and see where those cloud chart shadows are for key resistance. So all in all here, the Stoxx 600 media sector, for example, is in a downtrend on a weekly basis and on a daily basis because both price actions are now below the cloud. The front end of the cloud here indicates more downside to come. Okay, so we can see at Kijun Sen, Tekkan Sen, and all these Ichimoku cloud indicators there and where they are. But the price action front end of the cloud now indicates that there's more downside to come. Oil and gas, yeah, steady uptrend here, nice uptrend. We rebound from cloud support. You can see it tends to press through the cloud and then rebounds from old support zones. But it could come back to retest the top end of the cloud. But so far so good. Uptrend in place, front end of the clouds indicating upside. Weekly cloud, the front end of the cloud on the weekly cloud chart basis is also indicating upside. And we have the top end of the cloud here as a key support zone. These areas to watch in case it comes back to test that. But steady as she goes, we're going up for the oil and gas sectors here, both on a daily and weekly cloud chart basis. So you just need to trade the pullback or support tests for those indices. Property and holdings, yeah, also a bit of a problem. Price actions below the cloud, so it's got a downtrend in place. The possible support areas has been tested and failed at that cloud chart level. The next significant level to watch out for is the 725 zone. So there's quite potential for a big drop. Front candle here is positive. The lagging line is also rebounding from old support, so we could see that this can come back to the bottom in the cloud to test for resistance. Okay, rebounding from the cloud support areas here on a weekly cloud. So yes, it looks like it wants to rebound from the cloud support zone here. But watch this week very closely if it's going to come find support at this 735, 740 zone in this market. Okay. Retail, grinding higher below the cloud, below the weekly cloud. Front end of the weekly cloud is not turned over yet. We're looking for a retest of the resistance at the bottom end of the cloud here. So those are the levels to watch in the current rally to see if it's going to get to that cloud chart resistance. And yeah, we can see on the daily that we're just desperately fighting for support at this top end of the cloud. So this would be a nice entry point for a potential rebound back down to the weekly resistance area, the target of 321. So there's a good 20 euros in that in terms of index point. The technology one in a little bit of trouble here, close below the cloud. So that's a significant risk. It failed to find support at the old breakouts. The bottom of the cloud is the next key support zone, as well as the highs, the old highs there. So there's downside risk back down towards these levels. And I would suspect that corresponds with cloud charts. Up, there we go. Yes, that corresponds well with these cloud chart support zones over here. Now the problem here is we've got a thin, fairly thin cloud, and that doesn't give us much comfort in terms of support. So there's downside risk back down to the bottom end of this cloud here at, let's say, 332, that zone, and then we could see a rebound from there. But the daily also indicating that we, most likely going to come back and retest these areas. So that's a short selling opportunity. Telecoms. Overall downtrend in place. Front end of the cloud's not twisted around yet, so we still have a downtrend in place here. The cloud is now a key resistance area. Look how it interacts with the cloud there. It finds this resistance and can't get past that. We have all these levels to watch out for here. Cross-check that with a weekly and see it's well game over on a weekly basis. Cloud still... front cloud still indicates some downside. If we zoom out and see where the old cloud chart shadow supports are, we can see that these areas are the next zone to test is 266. So that's a potential to get to that zone. So 300 could be a short selling opportunity, and 266 could be the zone where one should close out that short position there. Okay. Travel and leisure also stuck in a long-term downtrend. We can see front end of the cloud. If we look at the weekly one, also significant resistance here at the top end of the cloud. These zones are figures to watch for. We're now looking for support here at the old cloud chart shadow support zone. It's a critical week to see if that support's going to come in or not. Otherwise, we're going to move down even further to 197, so that's the next downside. But the cloud still indicates that we are rolling over and there is a long-term downtrend in place here. And utilities, below the weekly cloud, so still stuck in a downtrend. Bottom end of the weekly cloud, yes, significant resistance zone. It's looked like it's grinding back up to that zone, but you can see here it doesn't quite get past that cloud chart resistance there. On the daily, potential upside to the bottom end of the cloud here, and then to continue its sell-off. So watch out for these. 290 is a weekly cloud chart resistance zone, and that corresponds well with the daily cloud chart resistance zone. Okay. And I think that's a wrap in terms of the Stoxx 600 sectors. Overall, we now know the market's looking weak. We need to see a rebound to find support back above the cloud. If not, we are going to continue this downtrend. And in the weekly ones already looking at, we need a breakout or a breakdown of the weekly cloud support here to see if we're going to go, which direction we're going to go on a weekly basis. But so far it's been moving sideways for most of a couple of weeks now. Look on the bottom end of the cloud where we see support. And if it can rebound from there, we're going back up to 356. Maybe November, we'll see that year-end rally on a weekly basis, and maybe this bottom end of the cloud here has significant support, so we could see this rallying back up to 356. Okay, and that's a wrap. If anybody needs to send me an email, just hit me up on where's my contact details, LinkedIn or cloudcharttrader@gmail.com. But overall, thank you everybody for your time and happy trading.